Hi everyone, and welcome to the Omni Voices podcast with me, your host, Katie Matthews. Today I have got a very inspirational and special lady with me called Clisver Alvarez. So, very interesting name, and I had to make sure that I actually said that right before we started recording. So, Clisver, thank you so much for joining me today. You're more than welcome onto the show. I would love you to introduce yourself, tell everyone a little bit about who you are, and what you do, if that's okay.
Well, thank you so much for having me. First of all, I am seriously so honored to be here today. Well, I am Clisver Alvarez. I am a mom. I am a mindset coach, writer, and I have bipolar disorder. So that's a big part of what I do. I help women with dealing with bipolar disorder pretty much lead and live a successful life with this disorder. And I actually started this journey when I was diagnosed. I was actually diagnosed when I was 16, so little over 12 years ago. And it was pretty battle for me, dealing with it at such a young age. It was something that, going through puberty at that age, going through high school, going through just all these other situations in itself was just very, very hard, and add to that a mental health disorder was think of it like just carrying books, and then they add a whole nother mountain of them, and it was very rough at that age. And I think that what my inspiration or what inspired me to actually go on this journey was when I actually felt or actually had my first experience with stigma, with mental health stigma. I was actually in a class, and I actually had to hand in a doctor's note in front of the class because I was not feeling well. And I mentioned to the teacher, I was like, okay, I have bipolar disorder. And someone that did not really know me said something to me. And it was something that, it was just like a slap in the face. And when they did that, I think that it resonated so much to me. And it wasn't the first time that it happened. It wasn't I was really bullied during high school due to the fact that I took medication, the side effects and stuff, and it was a lot going on. So I decided from that moment on, I'm like, okay, I don't want anyone else to feel this way. I don't want anyone else to have to feel this way. And I get chills just talking about it.
No, me too, hearing you speak about it. It resonates with me because obviously, some people that would already know me or anybody that's new to the show listening, I was 17 when I was diagnosed with depression. So, you're speaking about being diagnosed as a teenager and, trying to navigate everything else that's going on, the changes in your body, changes in your social circle. And, you think, what on earth is going on here?
Yes. And, add to that, you're in that stage where you're trying to find yourself. And you don't know emotionally what's going on, physically what's going on. And then, being and having bipolar disorder, I think that you can't control your emotions. You can't control what's going on with you. And I fell into a deep, dark spiral, I think that, and for me, I think a way that I coped with it was, I think a lot of people go and they cope with certain things like going out with friends and sometimes they fall into situations where their peers are very sometimes they get into situations. For me, I think that for me it was one of the symptoms that I think that the bipolar disorder caused, which is something that a lot of people don't like to talk about, was the hypersexuality. And for me, that was very tough at that age because being that I was so young, it was a very dark period for me.
Well, thank you very much for sharing that, though, and for your honesty so far, and for everything else you're going to be sharing today. And no, you are right. There is this sort of stigma, that still surrounds certain symptoms and certain behaviours. But I think it's so important for us to have that conversation, and to talk about it, because it's happening. It's real people's lives. And, the more we can speak about something, the more we can normalise it and destigmatise it. So,
and get the help.
Exactly. Absolutely. And that's something that I found was really great for me, was actually recognising, certain behaviours that I was displaying and going, okay, I think I may need some support with this. Mm-hmm. Is that something that you sort of became aware of? Was it around sort of 16, that sort of hypersexuality, and then thinking, right, do I need help with this? Or, do I feel as if I'm not, in inverted quotes, normal?
I mean, I think that the actual... It came a little bit after the awareness of that. Mm-hmm. But after, I think I became pregnant with my son, I think it was a wake-up moment. It was a moment of saying, you know what, I think I have to be a little bit more responsible. I think I have to, because at that time I was taking my medication, but I wasn't being responsible with this medication. I would, as soon as I felt better, I didn't like the side effects that I was having. I was gaining a lot of weight. Mm-hmm. I was getting a lot of acne. I was getting, I felt numb at some point. I felt like I was just numb to life, and like I didn't have a feeling of just like I couldn't be happy. And it got to the point when even after I had my son, like I just couldn't be happy. And I think that as a parent, you want to go and have those moments with your children and go to the park and actually be present. Mm-hmm. And I know, like you've seen, I don't know if where you live, like you've seen these commercials of like certain medications that they have where it's like the mom or the actual person that has this disorder is not spending time with the family. It's not, and that's how they advertise these medications, because that's how I felt. I mm-hmm. literally felt that way. I felt like I was just not present in life. I was not there. Mm-hmm. I was emotionally unstable, unavailable.
Yeah.
I was emotionally like just not, I was, the things that I normally enjoyed, the things that I normally, like drawing, writing, I was just not, and people noticed this, because I was not the normal person that I was just happy and outgoing and normally just full of life. Mm-hmm. And people would tell me, hey, are you okay? And I was just like, yeah, I'm fine. But inside, I was just not me.
Yeah, that's one of the main things I think about mental illness. One of the behaviours that we all kind of display is the masking of it, and saying, oh yeah, I'm fine, yeah, I'm all right, when it makes us look as if everything is fine on the surface, and we're wearing that mask and we're presenting ourselves in a certain way in public, but that may not actually be a true reflection of what's going on behind the scenes and how we're actually feeling inside.
Yes, and I think that it's like the poker face thing. Mm-hmm. It's like we're very good at hiding our feelings, because when we're vulnerable and we show our emotions, it's like we're weak.
Yeah,
we sense this. We show this weakness that we don't want anyone to see the weakness in us.
And no, absolutely. That's what I think sort of links in with the stigma as well. There is that idea that still exists that surrounds mental illness, that you've obviously done something wrong to be that way, or you've obviously something has happened for you to be that way, and it's not always that. It doesn't have to necessarily be from a specific cause. And obviously you're much more of an expert in bipolar than I would be, but I do know with bipolar that it doesn't necessarily have to be something that has happened to make it present itself, that sort of can trigger a phase, or you have obviously your manic phase, and then you have the depressed phase. I don't know if they use the same terminology where you're from.
I think that it depends on the person. I think that not necessarily has to be something in particular. For me, stress is my trigger. Stress, not taking the medication properly. It can be hormonal stuff. For example, when I had my son or my daughter, it was the hormonal aspect of it because there was a lot of changes going on with my body. So in this instance, it was the lack of the medication as well, because during the pregnancies, I could not take the medication due to the pregnancy. So, and then also the stress level that I was on, being that, I'm having a baby and there's all these, emotional aspects as well. So there's a lot of things that go into play. Whereas for someone else, it could be, grief. It could be different things, and also a lot of people think that bipolar disorder is just one, they can also be mixed with other diagnoses.
Yep.
I get psychosis.
So, for anyone that doesn't know, would you mind just explaining a little bit just about what psychosis is and maybe how you experience it, if that's okay with you?
Yeah, and for me, the psychoses is when you hear things, see things that are not there. And for me, I actually get them with a little bit of paranoia, with and it gets to the point where it can be dangerous. It can be to the point where you can get suicidal ideations, and it gets to certain points of that level. But for other people, it doesn't have to get to that point, and it varies on everybody. It doesn't, and not everybody has to experience bipolar like that. So there's a lot of variants that go into play.
I think it's the same with any mental illness, any diagnosis, that people always try and attribute it to maybe one thing or try and look for, like the root cause. And sometimes you're going, well, it's actually so multifaceted that it's not just a case of, oh, it's that one thing. There we go. We found it.
Yes.
I
think that that's true because, we are all different. We are, we are very unique in various, we come in all shapes and sizes. So I think that's very, we're all unique.
Absolutely. And that's kind of why as well, I actually wanted to set up this podcast, and that's why I decided to call it the Omni Voices podcast, because it literally means all voices. And I wanted it to be something that is representative of real people and a real cross section of people, getting that diversity and hearing from people that aren't just, run of the mill standard middle-aged white man. No disrespect to any middle-aged white men, but I wanted it to be really representative of what is actually going on in society, and hearing from real people and hearing these experiences, and having that safe space to talk about it, and also to listen to other people that have been through it and say, well, do you know what? You can still be successful. You can still have a brilliant business. You can still raise fantastic children. It doesn't define you. It's just part of who you are. It's
true. And I think that being, like when I was diagnosed, I had many doctors, many people tell me that I was not going to be a mom, that I was not going to be successful in life, that I was not going to finish school. And there was a lot of things that I was told I was not going to do. And, even though I didn't finish my high school because I completed my GED, I was still able to accomplish many things in life. I'm a mom of not one, but 2 children. And, I'm still able to parent my children. And a lot of people will tell you that you can't do a lot of things in life. And I think that that's just another sense of stigma.
Absolutely.
That's another type of stigma.
Absolutely. You have just hit the nail on the head there. It's always other people's limiting beliefs of you. And you're going,
themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And thinking, oh, well, I wouldn't be able to cope with that. And I wouldn't be able to do this and I wouldn't be able to do that. And you're going, well, it doesn't mean I can't.
Yeah.
I can still do things that I want to do. And, you set up Blue Gray's lifestyle, and you a fantastic mindset and mental health coach. And you're using that experience to help support and empower other women. And that is amazing. Absolutely fantastic. So you know, what is it that